Hey there, Transformers fans, this is Wesatron. Today we're going to be taking a look at Hasbro's Transformers Titans Return Monxo and Wolfwire. This is essentially G1 Weirdwolf, but I guess because of, licensing and things like that, they weren't able to use the Weirdwolf name. Either that or they just thought it sounded cooler, but hopefully that is not the case because Weirdwolf is way cooler. So this is brand new, 2016. These just started dropping in local Walgreens. And I just happened to find one. It's the only one I found, and it's good because that's my favorite character from the new wave. So I'm very excited to have this. You can see the similar type of art to Alpha Trion up here. You can see the Headmaster and the Transector there in the background. Another shot of the art on the side. Nothing really on this side except for a look at the figure on the back. We've got a shot of a figure in his robot and alt mode, which is a giant wolf. Very cool. Shows you some of the way that the Titan Masters work and the other characters in the wave and in similar waves. Astro Train, that's Wave 2. This is Wave 2 Voyager, Leader, and Deluxe. So, and we do have a little bit of a bio right up here at the top. If I can... There we go. If you'd like to take a look at that. So that's it for packaging. Pretty standard blister card. Let's go ahead and get him out of the box and see what he's like. And here we have Weirdwolf or Wolfwire out of packaging. And he looks really cool in robot mode. I really like him. He's quite posable too. They did a pretty good job in making him work out pretty well in both modes. He's accessory-wise. Well, first he's also got the card that comes with all of the Titan Masters, or the Headmasters, with his name down at the bottom, Wolfwire, or Weirdwolf, whatever you want to call him. And on the back, it didn't occur to me until I got this figure out that this is sort of a replacement for the classic gimmick where you push the head down into the body and it would show you their various power levels and things. So that's kind of cool that they still found a way to include that. And it looks like his primary attribute is intelligence, which goes up to about 15, which is pretty cool. So yeah, Weirdwolf is a smart guy. And then we also get his instructions, which are enormous and not too complicated. There's some neat things that happen with the chest where it sort of folds in on itself, which is very cool. And I never am able to refold these back the way they're supposed to be, but that's just me. But yes, his blaster. Very cool, very big and beefy. I really, really like the look of it. These prongs on the top, they might look a little silly, but they allow it to be attached to the wolf in his alt mode, which is very cool. And he does have pegs on 3 sides, so you've got some options on how you want to display this thing, and a big, nice, long, hollow tube for the barrel. It's not just drilled out a little bit. It actually goes quite back there, so it's very, very cool. This is really neat. It's almost like a big buster cannon or a shotgun almost. It's just really big and neat. It kind of reminds me of the War for Cybertron weapons. Very, very cool. I like that a lot. And then, of course, Monxo is able to sit in the top here if you fold him up and ride on Weirdwolf. And he also has his standard sword. Very, very cool. Only paint detail is this red bit on the back, but the sculpted detail is really, really cool. I really like all these big chunked out blocks. It kind of reminds me of a lot of G1 looking things, which is very, very neat. Yeah, I like the sword a lot. I think it looks really good. For the character himself, you will notice that his head is very different from his G1 head. His G1 head had a very kind of a bucket type of look to it. It was much squarer across the top. And the Takara version, I believe, is going to remedy that and make one that looks a little more G1 accurate if you're really big on that. I think this is a really nice compromise, a very nice update. He's still got the classic visor and the red face and everything, so he still looks like Weirdwolf. It's just they updated him to make him look a little more modern, fit in with the Chug aesthetic. So very cool. I really like that they still kept the missile launching shoulders, or the what looks like missile launchers. I always like that design element. Very cool. His chest does fold down. I'm not really sure why it does. It doesn't have anything to do with transformation really, so I'm not really sure why that hinges there. But it's for something. And I guess you could maybe sit the Titan Master down there, but I don't really get it. So if you have any ideas about what that's about, please give me a holler, because it's probably something very simple and I'm just silly. But yeah, very cool design elements all over. I really like him, and he's not too obviously a wolf until you get around to the back and you see the big wolf head kibble that Weirdwolf figures tend to have. And you see a little bit of the cockpit, which doesn't really store up very well, unfortunately, but the rest of him, you know, pretty cool. They did a really good job with the sculpt, and the deco is very nice. It's not much different from the Takara version. So very cool. This is definitely one you'll want to grab as soon as you see it. And both weapons do fit into his hands very simply. So yeah, or you can, you know, any place there's a 5mm port, if you want to give him a big shoulder cannon, that actually kind of looks pretty cool. So I dig that. And then there's another 5mm port down here on both sides. And yeah, very cool. So in terms of articulation, well, his headmaster has his own, of course. If I can pull it out. There we go. This port on mine is a little bit finicky, but the Monxo headmaster, he's got the classic ball jointed head of the other headmasters. Very nice details. Ball jointed arms, so he gets out a little bit, and then hinged hips and hinged knees, which can also go the other way to make the head. So nothing too fancy, but the design, the detail is all really good. I really like the looks of these modern headmasters. They do a really good job at a very small scale, which is cool. So get that folded up. The headmaster does give him the ability to have a ball joint, but like I said, this joint on mine, this connector pin, is a little funky, so I don't think I'm getting the full range that I should be getting. But he is able to turn left and right and get some motion in there. He's got ball joints in the shoulders, ball and socket joints, so he can twist in and out and go out about that far. The shoulders bump into the head a little bit if you go too far. So one thing I liked about the Function X figure is that it had hinges here too, so that the arms could go out further, but it's not a huge deal. Got swivels just above the elbows here that can go all the way around. Elbows have full range of motion, forward to about 90 degrees and back because of transformation. No swivels in the wrists, unfortunately. I always like swivels on characters who have swords, just for cooler, you know, swashbuckling poses, but that's not the case here, unfortunately. We do not, I'm sorry, we do have a little bit of a swivel in the waist. It's a little blocked by the butt pack back here, but it's not too bad. You can still get some posing out of it, which is cool. Legs, the hips are on ball and socket joints, and they go out about that far. Pretty decent. Yeah, perfect splits. Nice. Good job, Hasbro. Had to get it lined up right, but that definitely works. And then we have swivels just above the knees. Hinges for the knees get right at 90 degrees. These extra joints that you can see in here are for wolf mode. Then we have ball joints in the feet, so they can go in and out, twist all the way around, and get some forward and back as well. So pretty well articulated. I think they did a pretty good job there. Yeah, in terms of robot mode, I think this guy is really cool and definitely fits in aesthetic-wise with the other headmasters in both Deluxe and Voyager form. I don't have any of the leaders yet, so let's go ahead and get this guy into his alt mode and take a look at that. And here's Weirdwolf, or Wolfwire, in his robot mode, his alt mode, which is a wolf. Very cool. They did a really good job here. The best engineering feat, I think, was making the midsection elongate, where normally his waist is right up here. There's actually a series of hinges here that allows that whole section to be pulled down to elongate the wolf body and makes it a little more lupine. It's very cool. I like that a lot. In terms of details, most of them are the same. There's not too much new stuff. You will see that we're looking at the underside of his arms and legs now, so you can see a little bit more of those cool details. They're sort of rigid, like armor plates. I really like those. And then on the face, he's got sort of almost like a bat-like quality to the snout, where it kind of arcs up quite a bit, which is still neat looking. I like it. It's just very different for a wolf. And then if we open his mouth, because his mouth can open and close, you'll see he's got like red, sort of clear energon, I guess, teeth. And that clear plastic extends to the eyes and these vents on the side of his face. So I think they could have gone a little bit lighter with that plastic, but I assume that they're using the same plastic both here and in the cockpit, so they may have thought that that didn't work with the overall aesthetic, and that's cool. But a little lighter would have definitely made them glow a little bit better. But as I said, that mouth can close, and that looks very, very cool as well. I really like the look of this guy. Very, very neat. As I said before, like the Buster Cannon can sit on top, and little Monxo can sit inside of it. So pretty cool right there. And then there is an additional cockpit right here, which is sometimes a little hard to get into. If I can wiggle it, there we go. And Monxo can also fit in there pretty easily as well. And then close right up. Now, because of the collapsing part of the transformation, he can't sit in there in robot mode, but you need him for the head anyway, so it doesn't really matter. So yeah. In this mode, articulation is a little different, but similar in a lot of ways. One of the big differences is that now, because we have a head, they actually did offer us some articulation this time around, which is very cool. We get swivel all the way around, and then there's a hinge that allows the head to move left and right. Nothing really up or down, but this hinge right here does allow the head to be moved a little bit up. It just leaves a gap there. But the shoulder can kind of block it in certain positions. If you wanted to get some kind of like howling pose, you could make it work. So pretty cool there. Ball joints still in the shoulders, and then of course the swivels and the hinges in the elbows. The paws now are on a ball joint up in the forearm, but there's no clearance to move side to side. So really you just get forward and only slightly back, but a lot forward, so you can do a lot with that. And then you get your twist. But if they had just cut a little bit more plastic out on the side, you could have had his paws flat in wide stances, which would have been really, really cool. But he doesn't really have too much trouble balancing, so I mean, he's a four-legged character, so it's not going to be too much of an issue. Nothing in the midsection this time around, but when you get back here, you still get some twist in the legs, so that's cool. And you get the ball joints in the legs. They are blocked by these pieces of armor here, but Wolf's legs don't really need to go out that far. You still get a little bit of twist in this here. This part sort of just floats here. It doesn't really lock into anything in the leg whenever you move it up, because normally it covers up the shin. So you still got freedom of motion there, but that kind of just flops around. But you can put guns there if you want to, because he's a wolf. He's a robot wolf, and they need guns everywhere. We also have a hinge for the knee, so that you can kind of clinch that knee up, get in a haunched pose, or haunched pose. They're called haunches. I assume you can verbalize that. I don't think I'm using any of these words right. But there's a 90-degree bend there, and then you've got a ball joint here that allows for some in and out movement as well, and twist, and the same for the foot. So the foot can go side to side and a little bit up and down. So very cool. And then of course twist all the way around. So still quite a lot of articulation in this guy in this mode. And his tail, being that it's his sword just pegged in there, can twist up and down however you want it, but there's no ball joint or anything in there to give it any kind of expression. So if that was important to you, you can't do it, but that's okay. And like I said, there's these two slots right up here. There's the pegs on the gun. Just pops right in. Very, very cool. I really like him in both modes. I think Hasbro did a really bang-up job on this guy, and I don't really have any complaints about either mode. And one other little feature is that because his sword has very short pegs on the sides there, they can plug it into his legs and sort of make it look like he's wearing like a scabbard on his side. And you could flip that if you wanted a more samurai kind of look. It's not great because it's so far away from his waist, it just kind of looks a little silly. But it is an option. I think that's why those pegs were there. It was a neat design thing that they realized they could do, so they did it. So size-wise, we're looking over here at Alpha Trion and Fans Project Function X Quadruple U. Is going to come up to about 5.5 inches to the top of his headmaster. So he's quite a bit shorter than Alpha Trion, but fits in pretty well with the other deluxe figures from this wave. And because these are all in the same wave, you can swap heads between these if you wanted to. You can pull off Sovereign and put it on top of our little Weirdwolf here, and then boom, now you've got a Sovereign Weirdwolf. So weird. Yeah, and that head fits in there a little too simply. That just kind of, yeah, that peg is just a little loose on mine. But yeah, I know that people were going to ask about it, so I went ahead and did get out Function X Weirdwolf, or sorry, Quadruple U as they call him. And you can take a look and see size-wise, Quadruple U is about half a head taller. So he is definitely, I would say, more impressive looking. Color-wise, they're very different. He's got a much more tealish green, and he's more of a blue on the teal spectrum. He's got a gray head as opposed to a white one. Similar designs on the chest. Legs are very different. He's got the blue in the front, yellow in the front. On the back, he does a little bit better job with the kibble, but not by much, just because the head's a little sleeker there, and it's got the yellow, so it kind of hides it a little better. So honestly, they're very similar in a lot of ways. His transformation is a bit more involved, but it's also a lot of fun. They both have collapsible midsections, but they're achieved in very different ways, where his has a series of hinges that kind of accordion out from the middle, and his accordions out up and down. So yeah, they're very different, but both very cool figures. But the difference is that this guy costs like 70 bucks, and this guy's going to be in the range of like 15 to 20. So definitely he gets the edge on price point. Overall detail and everything, you know, I still really like Quadruple U, but this is probably going to become my default now because he is a very cool figure. In terms of articulation, there's really no contest. Quadruple U is going to win every time, just because for that price point, they can offer you a much better selection in terms of articulation. Like, it's a premium product, so you expect premium things. So yeah, this figure, I ended up paying 20 bucks for this because I'm a fool, but they had it at Walgreens, and that's what it costs. So for 20 bucks, you get the figure, you get the card, and the instructions. That's definitely high for what you actually get, considering Voyager's only, you know, within the last year or two went up to 25. This is definitely more a $15 to $17 figure. 17 I still would think was high, but because it's Weirdwolf, I would pay it because, like I said, I just really like Weirdwolf. But yeah, $15 range is about right for this guy in terms of what you get for your dollar. So if you can find him for that much, I think you will be really happy with the product you get. He is a very cool figure in both modes. His transformation is pretty simple, but doesn't leave it, you know, looking silly in either mode. And since he's not a triple changer, you know, there's no wonky modes. The only thing that looks a little odd is that he's a little chunky, but that's okay. That's okay. We don't fat shame in Transformers. Yeah. Very cool figure. Definitely a pickup if you get the opportunity. If you're a Headmasters, Transformers, or just Yellow Robot fan, he's pretty cool. Wolf fan, Lupine fan, you know. Yeah, definitely give him a pickup. I really appreciate you guys watching. If you have any questions or comments about this guy, you know, throw them in the box below. I'd be glad to help. And if you have any criticisms for the way that I do Transformers, let me know, because there's probably better ways to do it. So thanks for coming out. I really appreciate it, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.